Could be. Hi, Jefferson. Hey, I don't even know where to begin. I'm pretty thrilled about being on the air because I can give you an idea. The namesake of the show referenced me last week when he said Clintonistas, and that would be me, and that should tell you a lot. What I want to ask you is, are you familiar with not the rift, but rather the huge chasm between a moderate, a centrist like me, and you and the namesake and all of your listeners? Are you aware of that? And further, more specifically, I would like you to address the anti-Semitism of each and every squad member, of the namesake of the show, perhaps yourself, and this guy Mondami, who's going to go down like a SpaceX rocket. He's going to blow up on takeoff. He's today's Andrew Yang or Vivek Ramaswamy or Herman Cain if he was still alive. He's got his 15 minutes of fame. Whether it's anti-Semitism, which he is, or whether it's socialism, which has destroyed the Democratic Party, destroyed 2 female presidents. It's your party, Jefferson. It's you.
All right.
Look in the mirror, bro.
So I hear you've said a couple of things that I need to respond to. I don't know if I need to, but it probably seemed worth supporting. What do you care about? When you say you're a centrist, what's a central value that keeps you up at night? What do you want to make sure the country's doing better than it's not doing now?
I've been 65 years old. I've been a civil rights activist since 1986 when I was 26. I'm a white male born Irish Catholic, no more religion, but still Irish. In any event,
so I heard civil rights. Bear with me for a second. I gave you your chance. Let me ask a couple questions. So I heard civil rights. We're in full alignment on that one. When you hear socialist, and on the anti-Semitism stuff, I'm not gonna broker a critique of me as an anti-Semite. That's not like, you don't know me. You don't have anything to base that on. That's hogwash. I've responded to that even more than I should have. Like that's a slur that is used to disguise other things. I just want to set it to one side. If there's a thing we should talk about, I'm happy to. But I do want to. When you painted a bunch of people with the same brush, and I think it's people that you're frustrated with, and I hear about the rift, and I want to say something about that. I want to respond to that. But first I want to say, when you hear the socialist thing, they're a socialist and that's why it's bad. What's the piece of that? What's the policy area that you particularly think is stupid? You think it's wrong, it's bad for America, it's good, it would put us in the wrong path. What's that area, what are those policy areas where you really think there is that divide?
I think that there are a couple of, there's a brand new mooch on the scene. There's Mooch AOC, there's Mooch Bernie, and there's Mooch Thom Hartmann. All they do is mooch. All they do is beg. They want money in their pocket, and they want to promise everything, and they deliver nothing.
So no, but what's the? I hear the attacks you're making. I hear the attacks you're making. If that's what you want to do, it's not going to be a very interesting conversation.
And they're sexist.
I hear the attacks you're making, but if that's all we do, it's not going to be a very interesting conversation. Neither of us are going to learn from another. Nobody else is going to enjoy it or learn anything either. The question I asked you, what's a policy area other than just name calling? What's a policy area that you think the people who are that you call progressive or that you call socialist, and those are different things, but I think you mean them the same. What's the policy area that you disagree with?
Well, for one, I think that Sanders has destroyed the Democratic Party.
No. Give me a policy area, not an attack on somebody. Give me a policy area. What's an idea? Part of the thing, here's the thing.
How about undermining Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act on day one by Sanders when it delivered its pre-existing conditions? How about that first start?
So the policy area is you think that Obamacare should be stronger rather than weaker, and there should be protections for pre-existing conditions. Is that what you think?
Yeah, protect
I
us
agree.
from free
Okay.
action.
We agree super strongly on that. Give me another policy area, not an attack on, because part of my frustration, I think we actually share this, is, my view of how you build an anti-democracy movement and how you fight an anti-democracy movement, how you build a pro-democracy movement, is less about figuring out whether you should move more left or more right, and more about how you move it forward. And by the way, Andrew Young...
How about reality? How about we check in with reality?
I'll take reality, but give me another policy area. Setting aside the anger, setting aside the frustration of the people within a pro-democracy coalition that make you grumpy, what's another policy area that you think you disagree with the people that you're mad at? What's a policy area?
The policy is begging for everything in the world.
No. Give me not a generalized attack. It's not very interesting, and it's not very precise, and it's not fun either. What is a policy area?
What about the way Thom Hartmann speaks about women? What about the way progressives like Bernie talk about women?
So what I'm asking, not attacking folks. What's a policy area? So I think I heard you say is that women should be respected, that they should have real rights, that they should be able to fully participate in the economy, fully participate in democracy, able to wield power, be respected as they do that, and treated well. Is that roughly speaking? You can expand on that or do it better than I did, but is that roughly your view?
Yeah, I think that's all given. But
all right, we agree 100% on that one. We 100%, man. 100%. Give me another one. Give me another area, a policy area.
What I'm talking about is I mentioned reality. But Downey's Downey has no touch with reality, nor does Hartman,
set aside the attacks. I hear the attacks. If we want to, because you said you don't like the rift between progressives and moderates. I agree with you. I don't either. I think it's one of the ways that oligarchs win. Well, hold on. Let me respond to it. Let me say this real quick. And one of the ways we expand a rift is by calling each other names. One of the ways we expand attacks is by focusing on attacks and say, well, you're dumb. No, you're dumber. Well, you did this dumb thing. No, you did this dumber thing. Well, your whole approach to everything is stupid. Your whole approach. And I didn't learn anything. And by the way, the only thing happened with any rift in that interchange is it got wider. So I'm trying to find the places of either agreement or disagreement around actually what we believe in. Not approach, not labels, but believe in. What's a policy area where you disagree?
Here's a place, Jefferson. How about sabotage? How about that?
No, a policy area.
How about the progressives sticking their whole set of knives in the backs of Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris? How about sabotage?
Infighting itself, where I think we would agree, is that infighting for its own objective, infighting because you think you're pure, or infighting because you think you're smarter, tends to be bad. I think we need a movement that attracts more people rather than tries to figure out who's the smartest among us. I agree with that very, very strongly. And I'm going to give you one more. We've got two, but so far the two you've mentioned, we're 100% in alignment on. I want to find a third. Not just who's in charge, not just who made who grumpy, but policy area where you think there's an important disagreement between, using your terms, moderates and progressives. What's a policy area where you think the progressives are really wrong?
Well, I'll tell you. How about we start with Israel and Gaza? How about we start with
with
the Holocaust? How about we start with Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib?
If we think that the Holocaust was a crime against humanity, you and I are in full agreement. I'm not sure your views on Gaza, but if you stand with Trump, that's one view. If you don't, I actually think there's much more agreement on even that among than people who are doing the infighting thing. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
My point, I genuinely think that self-described pro-democracy moderates and self-described pro-democracy progressives have way more in common than they're willing to acknowledge.